is quasi-nationalist ideology, not even based on history, on how to formulate a revolutionary process for Black people. And
Get
that
it?
first part of formulating that process is you must be informed and instructed by your history and your culture. You've done that very well. And the attack on you, I have to look at sometimes sideways and say, wait a minute. This dude, this Tariq dude, he has brought us a stream of historical events that tie our stuff together over hundreds of years. And you put some of the finest scholars, because I know most of those men and women. Before I ever met you, we've worked together on multiple other things. And I know these are good people. And I know these aren't people who are out there trying to like ego, because we've been out here, some of us 50, 60 years. We ain't egoing. We just having fun teaching Black folks. I'm just glad God has let me live long enough I can even have a conversation with a young man like you. But I say to those who took that information from that show, I forgot the name of the show, and decide that they were going to attack you because I explained to them that if I have what I was explaining, if I had a criticism of you, I would speak it to your face and I would speak it in the public. I thought I was giving them a way of understanding how to be critical without becoming the enemy of your own brothers or sisters. And somebody took it and spun that. Brother Small said about Tariq Nasheed, that's not what I said.
Right, that was very
Brother Smalls, it's very, very hard to fix stupid.
We been fed up and the rage is getting higher. We fucked around and found out the devil afraid of fire. So now when we get turned up, shit get burned up. I see a lot of souls burn up and that turn up. And we came to take the statues down and take the crown. I seen it on the news, a crowd of pigs powering down. We did all of that without no marching or no vote. We was running through them precincts, leaving shit smoking like fuck 12. We about to do this shit for
What's up, everybody? This your boy, Bless the Damn Best, coming at you again. You know, it's been a minute, but you know how I do it. I only say something when I got something to say, right? So, today we're gonna get into this little topic, what I got right now. As you can see on your screen right now, you got our brother Tariq Nasheed, and we got the great elder, Brother James Small, right? The reason why these gentlemen are on the screen right now is because
that HDA people, I think they're crazy, okay? And I think they're dangerous in the way they approach it. This is the lady and the lawyer. Mm-hmm. And I reached out to them years ago when I first heard about them. I reached out to them, my email, no one ever touched bases or tried to get back to me. And I wasn't being that critical. I was saying, let's talk.
Yeah.
Now, when I heard the young people talking through my young brother Chase about Foundation of Black America, I reached out to them. They came to talk. I want to know, what is the issue? Now, I don't agree, and I'll call names. I don't agree with Tariq's rhetoric, okay? He's done some very good things, but words have meaning, and words have power. And you can use it with technology like we have today. One word can be so destructive you couldn't imagine it.
Yeah.
When you are constant in using the N-word, and you're constant in condemning an African simply because they're an immigrant, and you're constant, then there's something wrong with your knowledge base, not just your analysis. You have to have a decent knowledge foundation to even make an analysis. Tariq has pulled together a lot of fantastic scholars. Now, how much of that scholarship he has absorbed becomes another question. And he's my friend and my brother. But I don't speak behind people's back. I do it straight up front. Tariq knows me. I love him like I love you. But his behavior, if I'm going to go forward, has to change, has to be altered. And I'll have that private conversation with him. because that's what brothers do. And I've talked to some others and told them I'm going to have that conversation and suggest that they do the same thing. When we did the rally in D.C., you did not hear a bunch of that rhetoric going on. You didn't hear any of it, really. I went backstage with the brother. We sat down, we met, we bumped heads a little bit, but we walked out of there united, understanding that we're talking about unity and not about labels. Sometimes what people are calling pan-Africanists, they're not even talking about pan-Africanists.
Yeah, exactly.
They label anybody who says I'm doing something black and ain't them, that's pan-Africanist. It's like people say the conscious community. Where the hell is the conscious community? Everybody's conscious to some degree or another. There's no such thing as a conscious community. But we get caught up in these little label bags, and then we can't get ourselves out of it.
Right. In the Twitter world and the Twitter streets, it's been a lot of talk and a lot of things going on out there, right? Okay. you got Tariq Nasheed. Everybody know him. He's a very, very popular and influential guy, very talented guy, in my opinion. And we got the elder, James Small, old school elder that comes from the Pan-African movement. You know, you can say what you will about that, but that's where most of the riders was back in the day, in the Pan-African movement, right? Okay, in recent times, I don't know, it's a little shaky, you know. The veil has been pulled back from the fantasy of Pan-Africanism, but there's still a small little glimmer of hope that one day all black people will see each other as brothers and work together toward a common goal, right? Okay, so right now, there's this other guy. They'll mention his name in this video, right? Where he had Professor Small on his podcast, and he was asking him, you know, provocative questions. And, you know, Professor Small don't be on Twitter and listen to your YouTube channels and all this. So he didn't recognize the tactics of what was going down. So ever since he went on this podcast, and he said a couple things critical of Tariq Nasheed. He think Tariq Nasheed says nigger too much, and some of his rhetoric is too much. But basically, that's what it was, until it was blown out of proportion by Twitter and the tether class. You know, they used that interview to try to drive a wedge between our brothers. But as I'm about to show you today, it did not work. It fell flat on its face, right? So today, and the reason why I'm doing this is because this clip I'm about to show you was on a video that didn't advertise that this clip was gonna be on there. The video is called "How Do You Feel About the Chris Rock Special?" So I was surprised when I caught this hidden gem in this video. So without further ado, I'm not gonna talk you to death. We just gonna go through this video together, and I may pop in, may not. I'm just playing. Y'all already know I'm popping in, and give a little light commentary. But we gonna let the brothers take it away. Here we go. Conversation between Tariq Nasheed and the elder James Small.
So now, recently, there was we were on a broadcast on a YouTube stream, and there was a dude who's kind of known in our circles as being a troll, and he gave you some real. He basically lied to you and gave you some misinformation about some of the stuff that we've said, and then tried to use you against me, and some of these other trolls tried to use your words against me.
A divide and conquer fail. FBA all day, baby.
How do you feel about that, sir?
Right. Well, part of it is the young man, Omawali, called me yesterday. And his was this one. He says, I wasn't the one putting that out there like that. And I said, wait a minute. I said because, you know, I couldn't find him. I had the name wrong. Yeah. And when I found the name in my phone, he called me just as I found the name. And he says, listen, because I did this little piece, I was trying to get it right on Twitter, calling people out for doing that, because I'm saying, wait a minute, that was not what really happened. Now, he did raise these things about foundational Black America. And I go like, these are my children, I think is the term I use, and I love them. You got to understand it. If I think my children have any issues, I'm going to argue with them to get the issues right? If they made any statements wrong, then I'm not going to stab them in the back.
big respect to the elder. This elder right here and the elder Dr. Claude Anderson are greatly responsible for a lot of the consciousness in the community today. Here we go.
Talk to them about behind their back. I tell them my love for you, our relationship, and so forth. And whenever I have any issues, I talk to you about it. Sometimes you be quiet, sometimes you take me on, but we've never had a negative.
Right.
You and I. And you know the things I disagree, and they ain't really big things. That's the issue. Well, then I really argue with you about one thing, the N-word, right? Yeah. And sometimes I think you lose your temper a little bit too much on some of these Negroes who don't deserve you putting that energy on. Mm-hmm. And those have been our two issues. Yeah. And we deal with this on back. And I remember when you were having an issue, but I think we won't even call his name, but a little brother out there. Yeah. And I call you and I talk to you about it, and you squashed that. Yeah. There was an issue with some sister who was coming after you about some stuff. I called you. This is a couple of years ago. You squashed that. They didn't squash it, but you did. Yeah. So I have to let people understand and be clear, because I got some crazy calls from all over the world. When I was coming to Washington, you're not going there. I wait a minute, I had to do almost had to do a Tariq Nasheed. I had to go up on some folks. Who the hell are you to tell me where I go, who I speak with, and why? Now, if you call me and say, Brother Small, I heard something about Tariq, is that right? I would have told you, no, that ain't right. You know, you've been misinformed. And so when I did the show with the young people, because they'd call me, and I do a lot of shows with young people.
See, this guy, Omar Wally, that's the guy whose podcast Professor Smalls went to, right? And he's one of these immigrant blacks that don't like FBA, American black people, delineating themselves from the tether class, right? So I feel like Tariq went in a little heavy on not him, but the tether class. Y'all know how he talk. He's always big up in FBA and certain other black immigrants with white supremacist tendencies. He'll be real rough in the way he handles them. Sometimes I look at it like, damn, Tariq, calm down. You know what I mean? It's still a chance, but I feel like Professor Smalls would probably tell me the same thing when I make these videos, like going after people like Dane Calloway. But we're gonna let him take it away.
People call me, and most of the times I don't know who they are beforehand. And a lot of times it's the first time, and some have played me out of pocket, you know, because they just want to say I got Professor Small on there and blah 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 blah. Right. And on this show, when the issue,
otherwise known as clout chasing off the great elder, that's foul. I never ever condone that.
You came up and I told them, when I want to speak to you and make a criticism, I do it to your face. Mm-hmm. I'm not a backstabber. You know, I'm going to tell you, and I'll say right out in the public that I own it. That's how men do. Right. You know, that's how men be. And then we had a pretty, what I thought was a decent discussion with me explaining what pan-Africanism is, explaining what foundation of Black American is, and telling them I'm both. Because to me, pan-Africanism is how we unite the Black people all over the world to be one force. Now, we can call it pan anything we want to, but all the pan means is unity, nothing else.
And I truly believe in that. That's why, even though I am FBA all day, I will never take my Pan-African flag down, because it represents the unity of all black people in the world. You know, it may be a pipe dream, but it's something that I see benefit in holding on to. So, Professor Smalls, I totally agree with your thinking on that point.
And that foundation of Black American, that we have a right to identify ourselves in the same way any other ethnic group. And I think I used the Jamaican community. They don't call themselves African, they call themselves Jamaican. The people from Haiti don't say I'm African, they say I'm Haitian. And we find no contradiction with that. We're the only group in North America that use the term African to describe ourselves. And I always appreciated that word African American, because African, when we left it, the Berlin Conference hadn't happened yet. And the place hadn't been chopped up into all of these names yet. It was just one continent called Africa. And we were just...
The Berlin Conference, for those who don't know, I don't want to say an exact year. I have to look it up. You know, I like to be right and exact. But back in the day, when the Europeans decided to colonize Africa, they chopped it up into different pieces. They renamed the lands and allotted different territories to each other. And when I say each other, I mean different European countries. And that's what he's talking about right now.
These people. Now, there can be some argument about the name, where that name comes from. That's a good discussion, because it's hard to really get to the source of it, even though I know what maybe some probable sources for the word Africa. But when we come back to what happened when I was on the show, so bring it back to center, I give Omaweli credit in that he was man enough to call me yesterday and I said, well, what is your beef for Tariq? And he gave some critique about pan-Africanism and your view on pan-Africanism or attack of pan-Africanism. And I gave him my view on you and what I think your view is. And I told him that, the work that you have done bespeaks itself. Now they're trying to take you out of the picture with the work. Just that he used them other historians. No.
Impossible to take this brother out of the work. This brother, Tariq Nasheed, no matter what you might think about him, he is a very, very hard worker. And when he says, and he's a pretty good organizer, when he says he set out a plan, 99.9% of the time he follows through with it. And all of the people who have all these critiques and criticism for my brother cannot match his work.
Even if that's all you did, right? If all you did was brought some historians together, and I think we're some of the best in our time, and you had us bring a lesson to our people, no friggin' body else had done that. No one had done that. And you did it in a multiple series of topics that woke up the black world.
Shout out to Sanella. That's another brother who say what you will. It's hard to match his work. I was introduced to all these people that I know about and benefit from now through Sanella TV over the last, I would say, 10 or 15 years for most of them. Shout out to that brother.
Well, if he had only done that, I have to respect that. My argument with you was a simple argument. Don't let people defame the good work that you've done by engaging in conflict and argument with people that is not worthy of the work that you have done and the work that you're doing. But I say that to your face.
Absolutely.
We're brothers.
Absolutely.
You've been in my house.
Absolutely.
You've been in my home. My first time doing Hidden College, you flew me out to California. Me and my partner, Brother Rockwell, who has passed away from COVID, that beautiful brother.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, we lost him a year ago, 3 days ago. Man, my heart is still broken on that piece. I'm still suffering with that. But then what happened after the show, I started looking, I just going around internet and had people taking little pieces of what I had said and using that to say I'm attacking you.
Right.
And that's what pissed me off, because usually I don't get involved in none of this tete-a-tete kind of stuff. So I had to then try to say, okay, let me make a statement. I thought I didn't do a good job in getting it out there, but I must reach somebody, because some people fired some people's asses up. Or whatever little bit of my little statement got through on Twitter.
FBA went on the march on I'ma wet his ass. That's what lit the fire under him to try to call you, Dr. Smalls, to save his ass. But FBA never forgets.
Because anyone that took what I said in that show and twisted to be an attack on you was being straight up evil. Collaborators, if not agents themselves.
Yes,
I don't like to call people agents straight up, but collaborators can come from just being ignorant or selfish or being anti-freedom. Because what we're talking about is freeing our people. That's what information gives us the ability to do.
Willful ignorance can be evil.
Technology gives us the ability to use this information very well. No one has done it like you have done it. And yet, like me, I get criticism too, because I remember I did a piece about 8 years ago where I was encountering a situation on 125th Street with Sanetta. I went off on the brothers and sisters from the continent of Africa. It was a 2-hour speech, but somebody took 3 minutes out of that and sent it to Ghana, my home base. I was in the middle of a $500,000 negotiation. No, $750,000 negotiation of investment in my hotel at the table. And when the guy saw that piece, he pulled out of the negotiations the next day. Notwithstanding, I'm saying to my friends, this thing is 2 hours. In the 2 hours, I'm praising Africa. I'm praising Pan-Africanism. But I was trying to settle an argument where the brothers from the continent were siding with the Arabs and the Asians against the African-American youth merchants, okay? And it pissed me off. And the African-American youth merchant was saying, well, let's come together. Those of us from the continent and those from here, let's go to the National Black Theater. Let's sit down and come together in united force. And our brothers from home didn't want to do that because they got caught up in the immigrant identification instead of the race identification. And that's what I was addressing. And I was harsh. If you've ever seen it, I was a little bit brutal. I could be brutal. Okay. And so, but sometimes our brothers and sisters from home have earned that criticism.
That's right.
And there are many of them who haven't earned it, because I've also worked.
That's called nuanced thinking. You can't let tethers on Twitter turn you against all of our brothers from the continent.
Worked with the multiple organizations from the continent at City College, housing them for decades. Liberia, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, where I was the lead man in making sure they had space in place. And we worked together on political issues, but there was also those who felt that the alliance was not with us and our struggle, and that the alliance was with the Europeans, not realizing that this is an enemy we're at war with. We should take some criticism, because we need to reach out more and tell them, hey, yo, when you land here, this is what's up. And I don't think we do that enough. And I think if we do that more, we may find more people, beginning, because they're hearing you all over Africa. They're hearing us right now. All over Africa, people are hearing us. I was on Susan Tata's yesterday. People called in from at least 30 different African nations, okay? So people are listening to us because they want some direction on how to free themselves from the tyranny. And so when I hear people going and attacking you, and when I ask them, why are you attacking? I mean, you can have a reason to criticize, brother. That's one thing. The criticism is one thing. Outright attack, defaming, that's something else. And that's what I'm seeing on the internet. There's defamation because somebody disagreed with something that you said. Hell, there's a lot of things I said. Even my wife and I said, we've been together 57 years. And she just, Carol disagreed. I'm the most humble dude in the world, because I ain't messing with that lady. But she don't defame me. She don't attack me. When she go to bed at night, she give me a kiss on the head and says, I love you. And we move on and we do our work to raise our family, build our family, do the things we have to do. I've watched your work. I choose to work with you. You don't pay me no money to talk about. People don't know when you do documentaries. I've done a number of documentaries. The big folks with big money, they don't give you no money to do documentaries, because it's a contradiction, right? Because if you pay somebody to do a documentary, they can lie. So they don't pay you to do documentaries. You the only dude that give us a little complimentary stuff, but it ain't nothing to buy a cup of tea. It's almost just a respect token, which we appreciate because we understand what that's about. So this ain't about no money. You ain't buying nobody. You certainly can buy me for it because I'm expensive. But I want to tell, I'm giving a little bit to Omawale because he called yesterday. And he said to me, and I told him I'm going to be meeting with you, I'm going to be on your show. I thought we were going to do it last night. And he said, I'm not Tariq's enemy. Then I said, well, what is going on? And he laid out, and I forgot a little bit, that he disagreed with you on some things concerning pan-Africanism. Okay, that's a discussion, not an attack.
That's right.
You don't attack somebody because you don't agree with their approach to dealing with a particular, political concept, political idea, political process. Because many of the brothers and sisters who call themselves pan-Africanism don't have a freaking clue what pan-Africanism historically is about. And what they're running with is...
And some of you guys that talk down on pan-Africanism have no idea what true pan-Africanism is, I might add.
It's quasi-nationalist ideology, not even based on history, on how to formulate a revolutionary process for Black people. And the first part of formulating that process is you must be informed and instructed by your history and your culture. You've done that very well. And the attack on you, I have to look at sometimes sideways and say, wait a minute. This Tariq dude, he has brought us a stream of historical events that tie our stuff together over hundreds of years. And you brought some of the finest scholars, because I know most of those men and women. Before I ever met you, we've worked together on multiple other things. And I know these are good people. And I know these aren't people who are out there trying to ego, because we've been out here, some of us 50, 60 years. We ain't egoing. We just having fun teaching Black folks. I'm just glad God has let me live long enough I can even have a conversation with a young man like you. But I say to those who took that information from that show, I forgot the name of the show, and decide that they were going to attack you because I explained to them that if I have what I was explaining, if I had a criticism of you, I would speak it to your face and I would speak it in the public. I thought I was giving them a way of understanding how to be critical without becoming the enemy of your own brothers and sisters. And somebody took it and spun that. Brother Small said about Tariq Nasheed, that's not what I said.
Right, that was very
Brother Smalls, it's very, very hard to fix stupid.
Nor was that the intent of what I said. Nor was that the purpose for saying it. I'd be a fool. I would be disgracing my family and myself to do that. And so, and the young man who called me yesterday, because this is only the third time I spoke to him, and I wanted to know, why are you so angry at the brother? You know, because we all have disagreements.
A lot of these people with these podcasts and shows, they are very, very jealous of Tariq Nasheed's success, financial success, and the influence he has. That's what it is when you get to the root of all this hate, in my opinion.
Me and Dr. Leonard Jeffries, we've worked together for 55 years. You think me and Leonard ain't had some tit and tat over 50 some years? That's my brother. That's my father. He was sick and in the hospital for the last few months. I'm trying to be there every day. I'm trying to work with the brothers, make sure he ain't got no bills when he get home. Make sure his house is fixed up. Make sure his life fixtures are done. You contributed to it.
Yes, I did.
You know, and you did, and I'm not gonna say what you contributed, but you made it a good contribution to Doc. And he appreciated it. Even though he's a man of great pride, he didn't want no help. We told him whether you like it or not, we're gonna help you. And we got together, Baba Kalafani, Baba Reggie, and others, and we made that move.
Yes.
And so what I'm saying to these brothers,
And Tariq didn't clout chase off helping these brothers. He didn't even mention it. But he's such a grifter, and he's such a con man, according to some. Hey, look, you can have hustle without hustling your people. Let that sink in.
and sisters, because I think it ain't just brothers, there's some sisters too. Stop this attack. You can't rationalize attacking your own people when I don't see one attack coming from you on the enemy. I don't see any documents you're doing where you're attacking, identifying and attacking the enemy, or you're informing the people of who the enemy is. Because certainly when they attack you, they're attacking me, they're attacking Baba Coleman, they're attacking our sister Nelson, they're attacking Dr. Nobles, you're attacking all of us. Because we've all been a part in multiple parts of the exercise you've been involved in instructing and teaching our people. Some of it, I think, Tariq, is just plain ignorance, right? Some of it is ego. Some of it is envy. Some of it is jealousy. But let's not make no mistake. The enemy created the strife between Malcolm and Elijah.
That's right.
Okay, and fanned the flame that caused us Malcolm's life. Okay, the brothers and sisters who was in there shooting their mouth off didn't realize they were carrying out the instruction of the enemy without even knowing. Now, I hope I'm making it plain to people because y'all don't understand what's going on.
Something I've noticed lately, right? A lot of these people that hate that we are expressing our FBA lineage, right? They come with all these off the wall attacks and these talking points that they coming up with eventually make their way to the minds and the mouths of the white supremacists who want to see us all dead, and they use the same talking points. Look for it in the near future. Look for it in the near future, since the reparations fight is heating up. You will see this slavery didn't exist argument coming up right there on Fox News.
They've made this division, they divide Minister Farrakhan from the rest of us. Like somehow Christianity has more credibility than Islam. Give me a break. But the enemy has told you to keep this division going. So you can find everything in the world wrong with that brother, no matter how much good he does. Now, some of it is ignorance, some of it is envy, some of it is jealousy, but some of it is treachery and collaboration.
That's right.
And for those who are involved in the treachery and collaboration, I can't put my finger on you and say specifically who you are, but I want to be very clear. you're not going to play me in the middle of your treachery.
That's right.
You're not going to play me in the middle of even your envy, your jealousy, and your hatred because someone has achieved something that you don't feel you can achieve. Maybe you need to do the work. Because a lot of things, when you see people achieving, they put the work in. And not only put the work, I know this brother, not only put the work in, he put his own money in. Ain't nobody really giving you no money.
And he's putting his life on the line, coming straight down the middle and talking against white supremacy openly and publicly. If you do that, and if you are effective and influential, most importantly, you are putting your life on the line. My brother Tariq Nasheed puts his life on the line for this shit every day. You gotta respect that.
Go back to history, they made the same attack on Booker T. Washington. Booker T left us Tuskegee. How you gonna put him down? How you gonna make him a coon? Booker T ain't no coon. You gotta study his history and really understand that man.
Right, he wasn't. Let people know that Booker T. Washington was a real rider and a real revolutionary, especially behind
Oh, absolutely. He was always, I'm from South Carolina. You know, South Carolina people, we easily dream Booker T. Washington. And Diane Wright, Dr. Diane Wright has written a wonderful book on Booker T. Washington, pan-Africanism, to get rid of a lot of that myth. Booker didn't run around wearing a dashiki every day or making trips to the continent. But Booker financed Bobby Du Bois. Du Bois was his friend. They had a rift. They had a tip. They got past that shit. Those brothers are the friends most of their life. Du Bois and Garvey had a rift over a real issue around Garvey's meeting with the Klan. But they didn't.
That's another thing that the tethers, and I might add, those who identify as Aboriginal, they like to attack our brother Marcus Garvey because of his lineage and because he was the father of true pan-Africanism. So in order to prove their point, they'll attack that brother, man. I don't like it. I hate when people take our great master teachers that put their life on the line for us and take them out of context, disrespect them, and misrepresent their work. That is the lowest of the low, according to your boy.
More work together than they did fighting one another. But somebody's job was to make us see them divided. And then we get caught in these divides. They're doing the same. I see the same thing with you. I'm trying to listen for a logical reason why you've been put under attack. I have not seen one. I mean, the only thing, you cuss sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And you use that N-word, which I'll tell you right here in front of the whole word. Stop using it now. I didn't agree with that discussion on the so-called N-word, right? But since our people made that a consensus among them, I said, okay, I'm gonna respect. Y'all took that position that we don't use it, then I won't use it. But I thought I had different views on it because of how white folks arrive at it in their ignorance. Couldn't even pronounce negrito, so they came up with another pronunciation. No matter what we were called, they hated us.
That's right.
Because they wanted what we had.
That's right.
And they set out to take it. But back to this division that people are trying to cause in the black community. The division, they said you weren't gonna open the museum. They said you had stole the money. They said all that stuff I've heard on the internet in different spaces. You've used the people and you took their money and you never had any
When the hating don't work, they start telling lies.
intentions of ever opening a museum. In the meantime, your museum was almost open when they were saying these things. You were almost completed your work. And I hope that it has flown in their faces that they see that there is a museum and it's a real museum. And how extraordinary it is to try to build a museum. Because I've been working with some brothers from the continent for the last decade. We're trying to build a piece down there in Winneba, and we still just barely getting off the ground because that's no easy task.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to come back to my brothers and sisters who watch us, not the ones who've been spreading the discord, because they will be dealt with by the people, because when you pull the cover off of them, the people gonna see who they are. I said I could get that other little brother. I know he's been harsh on you and abusive, and he man up to it, right? In the conversation we had yesterday. But I tell him he need to recheck why you feel so harsh, you know? Because a lot of times we get caught up in these little false ideological realities. And when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we're not even doing the thing we're accusing the other person of doing, not doing. Go do your work. Stop fighting each other. Stop attacking the men and women who are trying to do good work. If you have a disagreement with them, pick up the telephone. The brother, can we talk? Have that conversation. All right? But just using social media as a way to create fratricide in our community, that's making the FBI and the CIA happy. COINTELPRO ain't got to do no work because we're doing it for them. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop. So we can get more work done. Every day you wake up. I woke up this morning with a call from my cousin from Philly. And he's crying. What's the matter, Chris? He said, my brother was executed. So I'm thinking, damn, did I have a family member in the penitentiary and I didn't know about? No, he wasn't executed that way. He took 8 bullets this morning at 4 a.m. in the morning from somebody in the community. You know? So I'm dealing with that all day, you know? I'm dealing with my other little sister up in Buffalo, one of my ears. About a month ago, there was a fire, and her sister, and I performed this child's wedding, right? Her sister was a fire, but 5 of her children died. And she was giving her sister the last rites last night. I mean, so I have to deal with counseling my people on these things, and I'm listening to these egoists, these envious, jealous, behaving people. If you got a beef with me, my telephone number's on the internet. Call me. I put it out there. Don't get on the line and say, Brother Small said this, Brother Small said that, and you've misused my words. You've misused my statement. I was trying to make a point on how we can criticize each other without attacking each other. And y'all flip exactly that. They're just the opposite of what I said.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of what I said.
Yes, indeed. Well, brother, I'm glad.
Malcolm, and I know when I'm leaving, see, I'm actually on another program, right?
Okay.
When you call me, I told the brothers I left your body and I'm in Houston. I told them I'm coming to you and I'm coming back. But I want to make it clear to everybody, one, do not use me, because if you think Tariq could be hard, you really don't want to see me go hard. I come today like the father, right, but with gentleness, asking y'all to cease and desist. If you really have a real beef and you're really about liberation and you're really true pan-Africanist, then sit down and write a letter to the brother or make a phone call to the brother. And if you don't feel your element is cool enough to do that, call me and say, Baba, could you call Brother Tariq? We want to have a palaver. Okay? I have some differences, but we don't want to put that out in the public. That's what liberators do. That's what freedom fighters do. That's what people who love their race do. And that's what we should do. So don't try to misuse my name. Not just for Tariq, don't misuse my name in any way in the childish conflicts that some of you create so you can get your Cash App hit up. Let's tell the truth about some of that too, all right?
Okay.
So you can get some hits up on your Cash App and your, what's the other thing? Your PayPal.
Yeah.
So you create these false controversies and people run to try to see if the controversy is true and you make money off of that and then tell me you're a political commentator. I'm not accusing anybody of doing that, but I see that and I see people doing that and I'm hoping this is not that.
Oh yeah, they do it and it's rampant. And once they get their numbers up to a certain level and get the money coming in, they trap. It's their channel analytics rules their mind, not their ethics and love for black people.
And Omar Wally, I'm gonna give you the credit because you were man enough to call me yesterday like a man. And you said, Small, I'm not the one chopping up making that move. So others are doing that with the material that you and I did. I'm gonna take your word as your word. Because I think it was Kal-El Gibran said you believe the truth, tell and the liar too. And let God handle the rest.
He ain't off the hook. He ain't off the hook with us because he was deliberately being slick. He knew what he was doing. So we know that guy. We see the little stuff he does behind the scenes, but that's something else. I understand where you're coming from. Brother, what
you have made your footstep in the black community. You have made an imprint. Don't let people throw you off your game. Then the other one is with this brother you had the conflict with, I gotta say, because we here talking in front of the museum. We don't know who sent people to throw you off your game, to get you in trap.
Right now, Professor Small, he's talking about to Hawker Bay, who has been a troll the entire time he has been on the internet. Absolutely nobody productive listens to that fool. The whole type of person that Professor Smalls just got finished describing is exactly the kind of person that Hawker Bay is. He is absolutely poison to the community, and he is anti-productive. He's an anti-production troll.
And the shit that's gonna cost you financially and otherwise. All right. Some of this stuff you can let other people handle, you know. And you got to know when you put yourself in a certain position in leadership, you got to also give up certain freedoms.
That's right.
To respond in a certain way.
That's
Just
right.
as an elder, because I've been through it, and I've been in the mud, and I've been to the, you know, I done been, I can't say on this day. I mean, I've had the COINTELPRO in my bedroom, brother. So I could tell you before I woke up, all right? So I know how it can be. I've had them walk beside me as the best brothers I've ever had. Baddest dudes you've ever known. Best martial artists in the world. And then get the shock. I'm walking with the man. All right? So all these things I've seen. That's why you got to be skeptical about behavior. And if people want us to respect their behavior, then conduct yourself like African men and women. And with the technology we have today, there's no excuse why we can't reach each other rather than attacking each other, creating this rift between our peoples that don't exist except that you put it there. And the enemy is just there with his fan having fun, fanning the flames. Remember, those flames got Malcolm X killed. You know, they probably got Khalid Muhammad killed, okay? They got Tupac killed. The rift Tupac told me the rift between him and Biggie wasn't real. Somebody else created that rift. And other rappers jumping in, yada, 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 with their big mouth and became a part of it, not knowing how they were being used. Because those brothers was fighting to try to take control of the distribution of their own music, they lost their lives. Because Negroes, and I'm not going to use that word you use, Negroes allow themselves to get played by trying to play other people out of envy and jealousy at the end of the day. That's why Tupac's dead, that's why Malcolm's dead, and a host of others. So I'm telling our people, I'm not saying that to play anything. This young man, I don't have to placate him, you know. His work speaks for itself, you know.
I'm looking at the ignorance in the comments right now on this video in real time. Man, it's some stupid son bitches in this world.
And as a father figure, and I'm old enough to be his father at almost 78, I can chastise him, but I do that to his face. And if I have something really deep, it'll be quietly and privately between me and him. And anybody else that care about this race, then that's the position we should take. And then that is the position of freedom fighters. Those are the people I would call true pan-Africanists. If you're not about pan-Africanism, like what Du Bois was about, what Malcolm was about, what Kwame Ture was about, then you need to keep your mouth shut. Because you study those men's lives and you see they don't operate like the people I'm seeing on social media are operating. With this attack on one another. But they're not attacking them folks in Washington talking that crap. They're not attacking Trump and his people. They're not attacking the people down in Mississippi that said they voted to bring back Jim Crow. You know, they're not attacking the folks down in Florida. You're attacking the wrong people. So for the sake of love, this is my being kind. This is my being merciful old man appeal. If I ever have to address this again, I'm going to come hard and you're going to think Tariq is a baby.
Respect to the elder. So I think I got the point across I wanted to get across. There was never a rift between Professor Small and Tariq Nasheed. All of this was orchestrated by time-wasting tethers and those who hate Tariq for his influence in this sphere of consciousness. So from right there, I'm going to tell you like I always tell you. This your boy, Bless the Best, your host, to the next post.
Attack somebody because you don't agree with their approach to dealing with a particular, political concept, political idea, political process. Because many of the brothers and sisters who call themselves Pan-Africanism don't have a freaking clue what Pan-Africanism historically is about.
Right.
And what they're running with is...
And some of you guys that talk down on Pan-Africanism have no idea what true Pan-Africanism is, I might add.
It's quasi-nationalist ideology, not even based on history, on how to formulate a revolutionary process for Black people. And the first part of formulating that process is you must be informed and instructed by your history and your culture. You've done that very well. And the attack on you, I have to look at sometimes sideways and say, wait a minute, this Tariq dude, he has brought us a stream of historical events that tie our stuff together over hundreds of years. And he brought some of the finest scholars, because I know most of those men and women. Before I ever met you, we've worked together on multiple other things. And I know these are good people. And I know these aren't people who are out there trying to like ego, because we've been out here, some of us 50, 60 years. We ain't egoing. We just having fun teaching black folks. I'm just glad God has let me live long enough I can even have a conversation with a young man like you. But I say to those who took that information from that show, I forgot the name of the show, and decide that they were going to attack you because I explained to them that if I have what I was explaining, if I had a criticism of you, I would speak it to your face and I would speak it in the public. I thought I was giving them a way of understanding how to be critical without becoming the enemy of your own brothers or sisters. And somebody took it and spun that. Brother Small said about Tariq Nasheed. Right. That's not what I said.
Right, and that was very
Brother Smalls, it's very, very hard to fix stupid.
Nor was that the intent of what I said. Right. Nor was that the purpose for saying it. I'd be a fool. I would be disgracing my family and myself to do that. And so, and the young man who called me yesterday, because this is only the third time I spoke to him, and I wanted to know, why are you so angry at the brother? You know, because we all have disagreements.
A lot of these people with these podcasts and shows, they are very, very jealous of Tariq Nasheed's success, financial success, and the influence he has.